Welcome to SCF Models. Today I will be building the Hawker Hurricane Mark IIc in 1/72nd scale from Revell. I started this build by putting together the cockpit parts and then painting the completed cockpit and the insides of the fuselage halves with Tamiya XF62 olive drab. I now soaked the control panel decal in water for a few seconds and slid it onto its plastic part. The completed cockpit assembly was cemented into one of the fuselage halves, and they were both cemented together. I also cemented the lower wing plate into place, and cemented the halves of the wings together, and cemented those into the lower plate. After attaching the wings, I noticed that there were a few panel gaps, so I decided to bring out some filler and a small tool to help fill them. Now built up the landing gear, although I would cement them in later to make painting easier. Now that I was done building the model, I started the paint process by painting the model in 3 thin coats of a mixture of about 75% Tamiya XF60 dark yellow and about 15% XF10 flat brown. I thin my paint in this step as it makes the paint go on a lot smoother and minimizes the visible brush strokes that you see when it dries. Also notice the large flat brush that I'm using, which also helps to minimize the brush strokes that you see in the end. I now painted the exhausts and the landing gear, although I would still be cementing these later. Now that I was happy with the base coat of the model, I decided to use Tamiya XF10 flat brown and a small rounded brush to freehand the camo pattern. Now that I was done with painting the top side of the model, I brought out Tamiya masking tape to mask the top side of the model, making sure to apply the correct amount of pressure so no paint bleed would be present when I was finished painting the bottom. Now that my masking was complete, I painted the bottom side of the model with 3 thin coats of Tamiya XF25 light sea gray using the same large flat brush from before. Now that I was finished painting the bottom side of the model, I carefully removed the masking tape with my tweezers. Since there was a little bit of paint bleed, I would need to bring out a small brush and some of the colors that I'd used on the top to make some touch-ups. After a coat of Tester's gloss varnish, I started the decal process. The decals went on fairly well, like other Revell decals I've used in the past. Although while watching this, you will notice that I didn't use any of the markings decals next to the roundels on the sides of the fuselage. I did this because I was trying to depict Roald Dahl's aircraft that he flew in World War II over Greece. And for some pictures that I saw of his squadron did not have those markings, so I decided to leave them off. After another coat of Tester's gloss varnish, I applied the panel line wash. I used the panel line wash to help bring out all of the details in the recessed panel lines on this model. Once I was done putting the wash all over the model, I got a damp paper towel and pulled back on the wash in the direction of the airflow, which left some subtle streaking, but left most of the wash in the panel lines. After a coat of Tamiya matte varnish, I was ready for the final details. I used Tamiya Weathering Masters soot to apply gun smoke and exhaust stains to the model. The landing gear was now applied using some super glue for added strength. The rigging on this model was done with easy line and some super glue. To do a little bit of chipping on this model, I decided to get a small piece of sponge and dip it into Tamiya XF16 flat aluminum with my tweezers. I then dabbed most of the paint off, and then applied some of the paint to the leading edges of the wings and parts of the wings that would be walked on. This helps give a nice chipped effect, and in my opinion, I did a pretty good job with this, and I'm happy with how it turned out. And now, with a few small touch-ups, the model was complete. Overall, I really enjoyed building this kit, and it went together perfectly other than some small gaps which required some filler. I really enjoyed building it in Roald Dahl's squadron markings too. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Bye.